Spoon's been murdering my plants for me. Thanks, Spoon. They literally go nuts for food. All right, so today we're just gonna hang out. I'm gonna show you feed my fish, talk about some of the stuff going on in the new fish farm or fish room, whatever you wanna call it. Yeah, schedule's got all jumbled up and we gotta make a video. So to feed Ladybird here, that's my own personal mascot now. I gotta tempt the barbs over to the other side with some food because they'll swarm the clams. I just fed her yesterday, so hopefully she'll eat again today. Just a handful of clams. And you can listen for the crunch. Or the crunch if you want. It took her about 10 days before she'd start eating after the move. And she'll eat more, just like Murphy will, but she's actually got one tooth that broke out one night while we were sleeping. We heard this racket in the living room at the old house. And something had spooked her and she hit her face on the glass or the acrylic and busted one of her teeth out. So you've got, you know, half a tooth, which is fine because it actually, you know, we feed the shells to wear them down. So it's gonna grow back no problem. That's a daily routine that my wife will probably take back over. I've been doing it because she come out here and she won't eat, she gets disappointed, but now she's eating. Probably come do it. Run into a lot of algae issues so far, mostly because of the skylights. The number one sign you need an algae eater, your magnet scrubber is covered in algae because you can't scrape that off with an algae scrubber. So the background here, it's all blotchy. I'm convinced that's actually because of whatever they're using at Universal Rocks to do this. I'll show you in some of the other backgrounds. They really grow this weird fungus, and I've got tanks that have nothing in them, and you'd be like, that looks like something's been living there for a month. Like, yeah, I know. So we'll hop over to the other side. I've got, you know, the big screen TV where if I was better at my job, we would have probably put a product or promo or something. Like maybe Jimmy with the power of editing will be like, oh, buy that product. Our Fly River Turtle skateboard. So we got lots of stuff to mount. All right, so now we can look at substrate. Ooh, fun, right? Nothing's ever lived in here. So keep in mind this is set up for about maybe 6 weeks now. Sterile sponge filter, some sand, which the sand, I get it. You're gonna be like, well, the sand could have contaminated it. We'll show you it didn't. But there's just like all this crap that is on these things. And what you don't know, because we didn't film it, is we literally scrubbed them down with dish soap and a scrubber and all of that like we always do. So it's not like, oh, they just went in dirty. And then you come over here, yeah, exactly, over here, you see these funguses or whatever is growing, these jelly-like substances. And you can see like it really led to a lot of diatom algae, which is normal because sands, which that's in part of these backgrounds, has a lot of phosphates and things. But yeah, and here I've got some tiger shrimp, barely, you know, there's like 10 of them. It's a big tank. And so this is cycled substrate. This was from the 800 gallon, had a sterile sponge in it though. So they're doing fine. And actually these shrimp really love to eat on this like mulm. This layer is about the best thing that can harbor all the food that your tiger or any shrimp wants to eat. So we typically hate that as aquarists, get that out of there. But as a shrimp or any kind of scavenger, that's one of the best sources of food for them. So, and then over here we did kind of a normal gravel. I'm going to plant this up, you know, to show you guys that plants can grow in all of these things. And we got the Aspiodoris over here. So you can see that female, well, there's a couple of them in here that are really fat. Hopefully Jimmy will get that on B-roll. But those are going to be the ones that hopefully should start breeding real soon. Pretty warm in these. Well, this tank's not as warm as that one. Weird. I wonder why it'd be colder than that one down there. But one of the reasons I don't like black substrate, shows everything. You can see everything here. The next thing is, nothing has ever lived in here. Sterile sponge filter. This is bioactive, so it comes with bacteria on it. And then you've got the background. Look at all the stuff that's sloughed off the background and all of that. And, you know, for spending 30 minutes cleaning something with non-dish soap, that's a lot of crap coming off that thing. A lot of cherry shrimp in here with just a few guppies. You can see kind of all different, like look at this weird one. It's missing all its color up front. It's got oranges in there. This is just a hodgepodge mix, so it's not what I would do if I was gonna breed. These got kind of condensed down for the move, so not optimal, but you know, I definitely can see I'm going to be battling lots of hard water, which I'm still excited for. This is Yeah, it's a layer of calcium, which is going to be good, long term, good. These guys, well, what's sure, Spoon. I guess on the, if you're not watching the live stream, you wouldn't know that. But yeah, this is Spoon. Spoon's been murdering my plants for me. Thanks, Spoon. Yeah, come on out, little buddy. He's a big one. He's going to go in a 230-gallon tank when I move it from the old house. We haven't finished moving the old house and 100% of the fish room yet. So this 40-gallon, while big enough as a kind of quarantine and storage, not big enough long-term at all, which I realize and will not be staying that way. So, but I got to make sure I can move the tank, get it set up, make sure it's cycled before I move this guy in, because I don't want it to be a problem. This is one of my favorite tanks to mode, even though it's kind of cloudy. Just has my mollies, which I've been enjoying, and one Blue Star Endler that made it in. That's when we were moving around guppy grass, but there's actually a lot of shrimp in here. They just hide well in the grasses and things. But now I already know like these ones kind of aren't as good as the new kind of orange ones I have. So I'm like, oh no, what do I do with these guys? We've set up the cribs to breed again. Someone was just asking me on how do you know when they're breeding and laying eggs and all of that. You can see she's dug out a pit. The male has to stay behind the sponge filter. It's highly likely. Well, maybe we'll do it for the video. Well, she came out, so it's probably not eggs. But I was gonna say, like, I'm willing to give up a spawn if we could show the eggs on camera, but being that she came out, 99% chance it's probably not eggs.
Oh.
Oh, they're wigglers. That's because they hatched. If they were eggs, she wouldn't have come out. So yeah, there's those wigglers. She just started doing that, probably 3 or 4 days ago after she dug it out. So in the next couple of days, she'll probably lead them around. And her job is to make sure that Dad or any of the other ones don't come back in. And I gotta do this slow so I don't get them out of their cave. Can you imagine you just have some babies and someone lifts your house off the ground? Yeah, she didn't. If you look at his tail a bit, if we can get the macro shot of that, you can see how it's frayed on the back. That's the typical fighting that will happen when they're spawning. Like, they spawn, but then she's like, you have to leave. You're gonna eat these babies. It's my job to protect. I recommend, maybe you don't keep spawning temperatures all the time because that's not a great life for him. And maybe if they're only having babies a few times a year, you get longer, healthier fish. So these guys, I'm still waiting to breed. These guys are almost all males. It's sad that my German Berlin buttercups, you can see like the male to female ratio is like 10 to 1. So I need to spend 5 minutes, catch out all the males. I'm gonna put them in the bulk bin and just keep like the one girl and one boy. Yeah, this one lone girl, poor girl, with all these boys. These have been sitting here for like 6 weeks and they just float. And that's what I love about crypts is they're so hardy. I'll show you back here too. So I floated these ones, but then if we go back over here, I put in a little bit of liquid fertilizer in, and you might get a little bit of root die off. Like there's probably some right here in these biggest roots. Yeah, you get a little bit of root die off, but these are still gonna grow just fine. And so all I have to do is float them and then I'll plant them. They might melt a little bit, but these were all out of the 800 gallon. These right here, we got turtles. Yesterday, I couldn't get the camera fast enough, but there were shrimp riding the back of one of the turtles. Yeah, see now they're all starting to move. They're like, hey, I was in there. So you can see 4 or 5, 6. They're all around. They did lay an egg, so I haven't brought over my incubator or anything yet. I don't think any of those eggs were viable, so I set up this little, incubator for lack of a better term. It's got the right media that I never put in the other one because it caught me off guard. If they lay them underwater, they can drown. That's the crappy part about it. So that's why I need to build an above area basking, well not basking, but lay box. But it's gotta be low enough they don't crawl out. These are all super reds from Randy. Yeah, you can see there's a bunch of them, all that poop. There's still a bunch. Yeah, there they go. So I gotta pair these off. That's what happens when you move a sponge filter without a bag. I gotta pair them off. And then I'm going to put them in different totes. I might put some in, or not some, but like one into Ladybird's tank to help clean up. I run this to do my temperature. So a lot of times, are you heating the tanks? I'm testing heaters for the sake of testing heaters, but I don't run heaters normally. 57% humidity is actually higher than I want. It doesn't feel that humid in here. So yeah, I'm observing. But 77 degrees in the room, and then I use this little digital thermometer right here. from Amazon, but this tank itself runs 80 degrees. But this one tank over, and yes, I just cross-contaminate in my fish room all the time, 76 degrees, so it's within 1 degree. But if I leave this top open, it'll drop by 2 or 3 degrees. 72.5. And the weird part is, if we go like in the middle over here, it'll be a completely different temperature. You would think it'd be pretty uniform in the room. We use lots of fans and we do all that kind of stuff, but it's not. Yeah, this is gonna be 71.2, so it dropped a degree from here to, what, 5 totes down? So it's really bizarre in that, you know, there's nothing directly blowing on this. It shouldn't be that much cooler or anything like that. Go down here. This is all the assorted swordtails. So yeah, down here is 70.9. So, you know, 0.3 degree drop. These are my benches, or I can put tanks. So I can sit here, we can put stuff, we can look at stuff. These guys are still doing amazing. I keep checking the water, assuming there's gonna be like ammonia or nitrates or something because the water's milky, but I think it's the sunlight turning it green. I haven't actually it doesn't look green in my hand or anything, but I test it like every day going, there's gotta be something wrong, but they're thriving and they eat so well. Like they're eating on my hand right now. They literally go nuts for food. I'll grab some food, but it's like a pedicure. Look at that, they're just eating all the arm hair off me.
Dead skin.
That's right. But these guys, and what's weird, what I found really weird is, of like the different types of mollies, these guys are the most voracious by far. It's not even a contest between the other ones. And oh good, they pooped on me too, look at that. Look at all that poop they're releasing. Like, oh, it's time to eat, let me poop. I learned this from the fish store we had. When you're feeding many, many types of fish, I usually just mix a bunch of stuff together. So there's turtle pellets, there's koi pellets, there's calcium sticks. Like if I didn't have that, because Jimmy had to use this to take photos, is why I have it, I would be mixing things like Vibrabites, all that kind of stuff. And I feed big pellets like this half the time. First I'll feed like these little guys right here, these panda guppies. They will work on that for the next hour and a half. And so it makes it really easy. If you overfeed, I can net it out real easy. It gives you a variety and it floats for a long time. And so that's one strategy. And I got that strategy actually from Charles Clapsaddle. Before we ever visited his farm, he gave a talk on how he ran his farm, and he only feeds actually really big pellets. And the logic there is you can just put a pellet or two in a 55-gallon barrel full of fish. They'll constantly keep eating the outside of that apple in, so it's kind of always fresh. It's always served me pretty well. So that's why when people are like, what size food? It's like, well, for a lot of livebearers and tetras, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, these guys will devour it. Much faster than other stuff. I don't know why they're so... Maybe they're just already adapted to my water better. Let's say I was trying to work a new food in, I just mix it in. So if I was halfway, mix it in, and that way, if they're being really picky, they'll eat the old stuff. If they're not picky, is that a piece of duckweed? No, okay, phew. Over here, we've got more mollies. Now these guys are voracious, but I don't find them to be as voracious. They're eating all right today, but I know when I feed all the tanks, and it takes a little while, I'll come back and that one will be picked clean and they'll still be working on these ones over here. Half of these pellets are like super low quality. Nothing really loves them, but they add calcium, which my water has a bunch of calcium, but watering the calcium versus eating calcium are two different things. So like just because I take a shower and my water has calcium in it, doesn't mean I never need calcium for my bones anymore. Same thing for the fish. Like you still gotta feed fish, snails, invertebrates. They gotta get some calcium in them. Guppies in here. This is the assorted bin where you just come and grab these and take them to the store. The big thing I gotta work on in this fish room right now is plants, 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 plants. Right now, even if they're letting babies go, they're just getting eaten. And that goes for every tote, every tank in here. There's not nearly enough. This tank's kind of interesting. There's one of these blue-eyed livebearers in there that jumped from the other side. That's not the interesting part. All this poop right here came from one albino bristlenose pleco. And he's right under the sponge. And you would think like, wow, you're feeding that guy a lot. I've only ever fed this tank 1 pinch of flakes so far, really. And he just eats all the scum off the sides of the totes. And you wouldn't, so this is a great example, I think, for teaching. People always assume if I'm not feeding, the fish aren't eating. And that's not true at all. They eat all the time. So when you're on vacation for a week, they're still eating. And I can show this to you. What is it like? One of these tanks will be a good example somewhere. Right here, this one. So if I pick this up, over here, you see all this debris that is in this tank? There is never, and right here too, there's never been anything in this aquarium, or this tote, besides the water that's come in and a sterile sponge. Everything's been brand new. So water brings some stuff in, stuff starts growing, and then you get this nondescript mulm or whatever you want to call it. And that ends up lining, this is some algae that's grown on the tubing because it's closer to the light, right? But even that's food. Back over here, what's the big difference we can see? Like, look at this line right here. You would say like, oh, is that even black? Because it's got so much algae on it, right? This guy, he's been doing work. He's got a clean line, right? Everything's clean. So this guy's been doing cleaning and been finding food where no food's been going in. Yes, we do feed fish, but there is always food, almost always food available for those fish also. These are the Japanese leertail, or lyre. Wait, yeah, leertail. Yeah, leertail.
Lyre.
Is it a lyre? All right, I don't know.
From the comments, it says.
I literally don't care. Yeah, I know I've been corrected like 12 times on that, and I'm just like, I just don't care. And now that I try to be right, I'm still wrong. It's like, oh great. Yeah, the Japanese blues, and they need more cover. You can see there's some really nice like dark red shrimp down low in the cover. And you notice how they all have grouped to the cover? If you don't want to stress out fish, or your shrimp, get them tons of cover. So that's the longest thing that I can't really rush in this, farm setup, is you need a year to 2 years of just plant growth. Here we've got the goldfish that I bred. We did lose, I think, 1, so that's why we're down to 4. They've turned 2 are orange, 2 are still black. And they're put over here because they're the furthest from the heater. So they actually run, and they're closest to this door, so they actually run a little bit cooler typically. And goldfish like to be a little bit cooler, but we'll see. How are they doing today? 71.6, a little bit warmer than that other one. See, I got no rhyme or reason. Like on most days it is cooler. You can see all the super red shrimp that have been living with these Variatus platies. And there's some of these Variatus platies that have really nice hyphens on them. Checking on these mollies, see if they polished everything off. No, yeah, they're getting there. But you can see now they're down to the Kari pellets, and they'll just kind of roll those around like little beach balls and eat. This question comes in from Eileen Bowers. Hi Corey, can I keep Amazon swords in the planter cup they came in and just bury it in the ground with some root tabs? Yes, you can. You can do that. It might stifle the growth a little bit. It's actually better to get the root tabs actually in the little rock wool or the pot you got there. You could definitely put it in an easy planter. That method works. But make sure you check out this video right here, which is Plants for Beginners. It'll help get you set on your way.